what you're doing. The push stick, before you start, basically there's two things you can cut. A piece of wood, I'll grab one so you can kind of see. A piece of wood has there's two different ways you can cut a piece of wood. You can cut it with the grain and you can cut it against the grain. I won't make you have to know the difference between the actual term, but just know if you're cutting with the grain, you're going to use the wooden push stick. It may be a different shape quickly here. How you use the push stick, this little lip back here, that's just to catch the back of the wood. So that when you're cutting something really small, you wouldn't really want your fingers to be down there. You'd rather them to be farther away. So you use the push stick to help slide it through. If you're cutting with the grain. If you're going to cut something against the grain, that's where you can use the miter gauge. Because if you have to cut something, now since we have a radial arm saw and a chop saw, I don't think you'll do this very often. But since we have those, but if you have something you need to use the table saw with, you're going to cut against the grain, the miter gauge helps you keep it straight. Because it's kind of hard to keep it against this fence because more of the distance is spread out. Otherwise, how I tell the kids to do it when you are using the table saw, how you should have your hands, I tell them to have thumbs up. Your left hand will always guide the wood and it'll stay in place. Your right hand is what's going to drive it through the saw. The reason why you have only your thumbs up instead of your fingers is because then you have a lot less of your fingers exposed to the blade. If you get cut, it's probably only going to be your thumbs, which you can argue your thumbs are the most important things. It separates us from the animals, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's less fingers, okay? How you would do it, you would set the fence, make sure it's locked. This lever back here, if the lever is pointing up, the fence is unlocked. If it's down, it's locked. How you do it, your left hand, you would put your knuckles right up against the guard and leave your left hand there. Your right hand, thumb on top, always. Your thumb's always on top of the wood. Your right hand is going to slide the board through your left hand, through the saw, until you get to a certain point. Then you would grab your push stick. Don't ever if you have to stop halfway, because you can't put your left hand with it. When you get to a certain point, you need to still hold on with your left hand, but don't push it forward. Grab the push stick with your right hand, then let go with your left and push it through. Now, since you don't have safety glasses, watch out a little bit. I ask if you're going to be using this stuff often, get a pair of safety glasses. If you have regular glasses, I won't make you can wear just the glasses. But I'd ask that you wear safety glasses when you're using stuff down here. But for now, just make sure you're farther away so I can show you at least how I like it to be done. Wait for it to start. Find the guard. Thumbs on top always. Your left hand stays in place. Push it until you get somewhat close to the end. Don't let go with your left hand. Grab the push stick, the little hook on the back, hook in the center there. And you can let go with your left and just finish your cut all the way through. Keep pushing as far as you can go. I prefer you to get past the guard, but you can't necessarily with this thing. Then you would shut it off. I would ask you, when you are using the table saw, make sure two people are here. Someone would be on the back half, because you notice when I couldn't push it all the way past the blade, that's where the person back here could grab it for you. They're not going to pull it out, but they can help guide it so it's not going to fly back on you. The main thing with the table saw, you can't let go of it, because if you do let go of the piece of wood while it's touching the blade, it's going to throw it back at you. And it hurts. It leaves a well. That's pretty much
standing to the side when they do that, rather than
absolutely.
And no loose clothes, right?
Yep. There's a reason why my sleeves are always rolled up. Stuff gets caught in the blade a lot really easily. Make sure you don't have any loose clothes. I prefer you to take stuff off your wrists. It's not quite as big of a deal as it would be on the lathe, but it's a lot easier. It's easy just to take it off, put it in your pocket kind of thing. The loose clothing, same thing, that's why the sleeves are rolled up. Safety glasses need to be on. Make sure before you start the cut, you know where your hands are at. And if, depending on how accurate your cuts need to be, the more accurate you need to be, the closer you need to pay attention to the edge of your fence and the edge of your board. But if it's something that just needs to be cut for like the base of your maze, it may not have to be perfectly accurate. But that's relatively quick with here. I'm trying not to take